Welcome to another episode of the Jesse Carstairs Show. Today, we dive into the essence of masculinity, a topic often misunderstood in today's world in 2024. Masculinity isn't just about muscle and might, it's a force that binds families, protects nations, and nurtures a legacy. In this episode, we strip away the misconceptions and explore what it truly means to be masculine and a man. Join me as we navigate through the landscape of strength, resilience, and the often overlooked power of vulnerability. This isn't just a conversation about men, it's a call to redefine the narrative of modern masculinity. So, masculinity, it can be a touchy subject today. But I believe masculinity is the foundation of the household. A masculine man is so pivotal to the home. You are leading your wife, you are leading your children, and it is the essence of the household. So if a man wants anything to happen in his household, if he wants a wife to follow, if he wants a wife to change, if he wants a wife to obey, then he has to be leading by example in every aspect of his life. If you are married to a woman who is a non-believer, it is you who has to lead by example that is going to help push her to be a believer, for an example. And it's that masculine part of a man that is going to really change the culture of America. Because I feel like for generations, we haven't had masculine men as the head of the household, but we have had insecure men who are the head of households who are breeding more insecure boys and men. So one of the things about masculine men is they are the defenders of freedom. From a historical context all the way till still today. If it wasn't for masculine men, there would be no such thing as America. It is the men who decided to commit treason against the British Empire in the United States, which is why we had the Declaration of Independence. It is masculine men who go into the night and kill a terrorist in his own home. It is because of masculine men that they protect the freedoms that we have. We have men who are willing to go and sacrifice their lives for their loved ones and for others. And then there's masculinity in regards to love and loyalty. To me, it is not very masculine to be sleeping around. And I'm going to tell you why. The mere fact, if you don't have self-control to commit yourself to one person, shows a lack of, self-control. Therefore, a lack of that masculinity trait of self-control. Loyalty, not only to your wife, loyalty to those around you. Loyalty to your children, not abandoning your children. There's nothing masculine about taking your own life. There's nothing masculine about divorce. There's nothing masculine about not being a father in his children's life. If you have children out of wedlock, you should be in that child's life every step of the way. Because we are leading by example. It is masculine men that drive the progress in culture. And I don't mean progress as in a political progress. I mean progress as in going from caveman to we have electric cars. It is masculine men who are willing to take the risks to contribute to societal progress and innovation. By societal progress, the men who took the chances of electricity, who were building infrastructure, who were risking their lives to bring us the commodities that we have today and the ease of life that we have today. Take, for example, when Elon Musk, he sold his part of PayPal, he put 100% of that into other businesses, from SpaceX to Tesla. Now, how many people would do that and just start from the beginning? He was looking at the greater good of humanity. He wanted to be the risk taker. I mean, part of being a masculine man is having a mindset of it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. There is, because if you think about the warrior in a garden, he is able to be the baddest motherfucker, but have it under control for the benefit of his family. He has it under voluntary control. We got to think about that. Voluntary control. So he doesn't quick to anger. He isn't driven by ego. He is able to love his children and love his wife. Because a garden needs tending too. A garden does not grow on its own. And now if you're a gardener in a war, you are insecure. You are running around with your sword unsheathed because you are living in fear that you don't have that ability to reach inside you to do dangerous things. I think that saying, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, is probably one of my favorite sayings of all time, because it applies today. We have boys running around who are gardeners in a war when they really start to get into life, because they haven't been taught on what it is to be a masculine man. So there's a couple things that I want to go over on what masculinity is not. Masculinity is not yelling at your children out of anger. There's nothing masculine about that. There's nothing tough about yelling at little children because you don't have control over your emotions and you let them run your emotions, and you blame them for your anger, for your lashing out. There's nothing masculine about that. Speaking to your wife or any other woman in a disrespectful way, nothing masculine about that. You got to think, I shall not speak to my wife nor any other woman in a way that I would not allow another man to speak to my wife. When you put it in that perspective, you immediately should acknowledge the times you may have talked to your wife in a completely disrespectful way, just how unrespectable that is if you're speaking to your wife or another woman disrespectfully, from how other men would look at you, how not even society, fuck society, because we're in a weird ass fucking place in society, but the fact that you shouldn't speak to another woman in a way you wouldn't let a man speak to your wife. Masculinity is not gasping out of fear or succumbing to anxiety. When you are not screaming in fear, gasping in fear, having anxiety, why a woman screams out of fear is to alert the tribe or village that danger is about. A man, when he sees the enemy, he does not gasp out in fear or have anxiety, because it gives up his position to kill that motherfucker. So you have to have control again of those feelings and of anxiety. Anxiety is an internal thing that we put on ourselves. In our brain, anxiety, and excitement are in the same place. And if you look, the symptoms are all the same. You know, high sorts of energy with a crash, excitement, anxiety. Don't succumb to those things. Masculinity is not, again, succumbing to depression or seeking pity. Nobody cares that you got fired from your job. You don't need to put that on other people. You don't need to vent to other people so they can feel sorry for you. There's nothing masculine about venting. There isn't. And you should never be venting to your wife about negative things either. You shouldn't be, not that you can't seek discussion with your wife. Hey, there's this business decision. What do you think? That is completely different than looking for pity by, you could say, venting, or depression, another thing that we bring onto ourselves. But because it's a boo-hoo, my life is so bad. There's nothing masculine about that. There's nothing masculine about allowing yourself to become overweight and lazy. Nothing. You got to think of that. It is the mere fact of letting yourself go. It's not masculine. Another thing that's not masculine is sporting an ego that surpasses your abilities. So if you walk around thinking you're the baddest mofo and just no one's checked you, you're going to have a rude awakening the day that somebody does. A rude awakening. It's literally the kid on the playground who thinks he's a bully until that one kid punches him in the mouth. And everyone realized that the bully, it was just an act the entire time. And I think in the last couple of decades, we've had too many people who live that way, and who live that way as fathers. So here are some of the things that go under the masculine umbrella. Being stoic, demonstrating resilience and calmness in the face of challenges. Demonstrating resilience. If you fall, you have to get back down. You get knocked down 10 times, you better get up 11. Whether it's in business, whether it's in struggles in your marriage, to keep moving forward. Business, keep moving forward. Any sort of mental struggles, addictive struggles, you have to keep moving forward and be calm in the face of challenges. Again, it goes back to not gasping or shrieking in fear, but being calm. Your house catches on fire, not freaking out. You know, being calm, handling the situation in the best possible way, and not looking back and wishing you had handled it different. Because if you keep a calm mind, you'll be able to handle it to the best of your ability and lead those people around you to fix whatever situation it is. Psychological strength, the ability to navigate and understand complex situations. Kind of goes with the first one a little bit. But if we want to demonstrate masculinity, especially to our children, we're going to have to show them, like, hey, there's a complex situation. Here's how we're going to go through it. Here is how I'm going to adapt as a father. Versus too many people want to throw in the towel. Being dangerous. Being capable when required. Again, the whole being dangerous. Sometimes part of masculinity is being able to be dangerous and being a little psycho. In the benefit of your family and or of your tribe, your culture, whatever it is. It's that ability to literally, like I said, go get bin Laden while he's in his own bed. It is those type of men is why we need dangerous, psychotic men. And that is an attribute of being masculine. You are willing to do the things that other people just aren't willing to do. Preparedness, whether it's metaphorical or literal, but you are always prepared. It is be ready versus get ready. From a physical standpoint, always just staying in shape so you don't have to get in shape. Let's say you're someone who thinks you carry a gun, which I think most Americans should, especially males. Are you actually prepared to use it, or you haven't shot in 6 months? Okay, there's nothing masculine about having a gun and you're not continuously practicing it. So, preparedness. You're going into a business situation. Are you prepared, and have you thought of in those negotiations what they are going to come at you with? How prepared are you? Because I guarantee you, from a sports analogy, I guarantee you there is someone working harder, preparing more. So what are you doing? I think it was Tim Tebow who he had a quote that said the other guy is working harder. The other guy's still working. Let's be prepared. Confidence. Being able to walk and interact with assurance. I mean, that is huge. You're not Eeyore. You're not have your shoulders slouched. You have your chest up. You are confident. But you're willing to look people in the eye. I think those are basics, but they often get overlooked. Physical fitness, maintaining a strong and healthy physique. Very important, because the mind cannot go where the body cannot follow, and we only have one, so let's take care of it. Security, avoiding behaviors that make you a potential target. So you got to present yourself. It is very masculine to present yourself in a way, kind of the physical fitness and the confidence, that some guy who wants to mug someone isn't going after you because of the way you present yourself. You're just aware. You're calm. You walk with confidence. No one wants to have a tussy with that guy. So I want to give you an actual example of kind of what the range of masculinity can look like. When Mike Tyson was an amateur, a 17-year-old kid, he was looking for sparring partners, and they brought over a national champion from Ireland, an Irish kid, to come and spar with Mike Tyson. And he says he gets there, he gets to meet Mike Tyson, and the Irish guy is obviously bigger than Mike Tyson because he wasn't very tall. And he said he was the nicest guy. He wanted to talk about Napoleon. He wanted to talk about history and Alexander the Great. And he wanted to watch film on old boxers. And then they went for a run together. And they came back to the house. And he's like, we took a nap. And then they woke up, and he was like, this is the nicest guy. I'm going to smash him. I'm going to feel bad for smashing him. The Irish guy talking about Mike Tyson. He says they go to the gym. Mike Tyson's already there warming up. And he says he sees these two huge black dudes who are getting ready to spar with Tyson. And he's thinking, there's no way Tyson's sparring them. They were pro, and they were huge. He says he sees Mike Tyson take his shirt off, and he realized he'd never seen so much muscle on a guy. I thought that was pretty funny to add in. But he also said Mike Tyson didn't even acknowledge him. So they went from hanging out, having all this fun, him thinking Tyson was kind of a dork because he was talking about all this history, the nicest guy, and he felt bad that he was about to go beat up Mike Tyson because they were both amateurs. And he sees Mike Tyson absolutely destroy, knock out both of the other sparring partners. And then he realized, oh shit, it's my turn. I got to get in the ring with him. And he didn't get knocked out. And he claims that Mike Tyson said, you're the toughest white guy I've ever known. The point is, how he was able to be. He didn't have an ego. He was able to truly be himself and have and express his interests in his hobbies. And wasn't ever playing Mr. Tough Guy, but was able to instantly be dangerous when it came to them actually being in the boxing gym. He was able to reach into that dark side inside of him and turn it on. He was, which in this day and age is completely frowned upon. You can't, anything masculine, toxic masculinity, anything testosterone, but it is really masculinity is the most important part of a household, of a family, and then it compounds into the culture of your country. But the fact that Tyson is able to just be completely vulnerable, he's able to be the warrior in a garden by just being a host to this guy. They went on runs showing him, hey, look at these books that I'm into. I got these old videos. Just being very personable and then being able to flip the switch is what so much of being masculine is. Now, if we look at how the last couple generations, they think masculinity is yelling at their children, yelling at their spouse, being angry, acting like Mr. Tough Guy. And it's not. We've been filled with generations of men who were truly just insecure. So you can take my wife, for instance. When I would talk about what masculinity is, or if I needed to be hard on my oldest son, she would immediately red flag to her. It would get, she didn't like it. It was a trigger warning for her because of how she was raised. With angry father, didn't know how to express himself, would lash out, quick to anger. And when you have men like that who just think they're Mr. Tough Guy, but there is nothing tough, it is all insecurity. It's like a dog. Any dog trainer will tell you body language is everything. Let's say you have a dog who is growling, hair up, but tail also between his legs is a very insecure dog. He doesn't have the confidence of, we'll say, my dog, not growling, eyes locked, tail up, ears forward, doesn't need to growl because he doesn't need to do anything because he knows his mere presence will do the same thing as the dog who's growling, but its tail is in between his legs because really he's an insecure dog. He's going to bite without actually knowing why he's biting. It's those fathers who would yell and hit or belittle without actually knowing the real reason. So like, let's say your kid, here's something that's masculine. Let's say your kid comes home in second grade because he got beat up. What is not masculinity is a dad yelling at that kid, my son never gets beat up. You don't do that. You're going to kick his ass. Or not actually allowing that kid to feel like you have his best interest. Let's say you're like, you got to tell the teachers. I feel like this is what cultures do today. Did you tell the teacher? Yes. All right. Well, the teacher's going to find out, like, because you don't hit. Two wrongs don't make a right. Okay. So we got two examples there. When really, it is more masculine for you to even tell that kid, your second grader who got beat up, say, hey, you know what? When I was your age, I got my ass kicked too. But you know what I did? I made sure I was never going to get my ass kicked again. That's why daddy was doing push-ups. He was doing pull-ups. That's why That's why grandma put me into boxing. And that's why daddy boxed from the time I was in second grade all the way to the time I was 15, because that was never going to happen again. You got your butt kicked once, just make sure it doesn't ever happen again. If you want, we can do XYZ. So he feels you have his back, the best interest, but you're not belittling him because you're like, no son of mine would ever get beat up. When the reality is, most of those fathers who act like that, they've never fucking done shit, and they probably got their ass kicked their entire life. There's too many dads who think they're masculine, but they're fucking pussies, who have their kids at the wrestling gym, at jiu-jitsu, who I see, who are fat slobs who've never done anything. They have their kids at the boxing gym, and they're living vicariously through their kids in combat sports. There's nothing masculine about that. There's nothing masculine about a dad living vicariously through his son. So we can bring up kids in sports. I don't care what sport it is. There's nothing masculine about you living through your kids in baseball and football. You have to own the fact that you had an opportunity and that opportunity is gone. Or if you had kids young, you're working on that opportunity. I don't care what it is. But we shouldn't be belittling anybody out of anger. That's just insecure. Definitely insecurity in there. There are a number of things like those situations where we really got to figure out what is truly a masculine representation of how I'm going to go about this situation and what is little insecurities. Now, I believe if we are raising our sons and we are choosing for ourselves to dive in to what is masculinity, forget what society says about how it's toxic when there is literally nothing toxic about masculinity, because it is stoic. It is the foundation of every family. It is being able to be dangerous, but continuously having your sword sheathed. I think everyone out there should continuously seek every day how they can improve their masculinity. Every dude, improve your masculinity day by day, year by year. It's not something that ends. It is not. It's a continuous compounding thing that we need to do as men, not only for the benefit of our family, but for our culture and for the United States. Straight up. Let's get on it. And I hope every one of you decides right now that you're going to do something today to keep going on this path forward. And that's all for this episode. Hope you stay tuned.